Hello, Minister Gantz, and thank you so much for addressing AJC's Global Forum.
Hello, Vital. It's great and pleasure to spend some time with you. And
The
of
pleasure
course,
is all
people
mine.
who are watching us.
Thank you so much. I would like to begin our conversation with the fact that you have spent many decades of your life devoted to Israel. And more than 2 years ago, you decided to continue and devote your life, and you joined the political system. I would like to open this conversation and ask you, what kind of vision do you have for Israel? What kind of Israel are you hoping to see?
Well, I indeed served for so many years, and I'm very proud to continue serving now in the public and political realm, I would say. When I think of Israel, in many ways I go back to our fathers, the first Zionists, who reinitiate the Jewish life in Israel. And I would like us to be a Zionist country that based probably on four elements: Jewish country, secure country, prosperous country, and a fair society, a noble society. And I think the combination between those four elements is a nation home for the entire Jewish people. It's very important. I would like the Diaspora world to see us as their home as well. I would like us to see them as our partners as well. And I think we can get there. In so many ways, we are already there, but there's a lot to do.
That's quite a good and optimistic vision.
Yeah.
In a few months, the US will be going again to its presidential elections. I want to ask you, how do you see the very critical and strategic relations between the US and Israel right now, and also looking into the future?
United States is the biggest and strongest and most reliable ally of the State of Israel. Our important relations, and I would say unique relations, are based on shared values, shared interest, and the fact that we are two democratic countries, and we are the only democratic country in the Middle East. And this unique relation between our two countries is very important. It's being promoted by President Trump. It was held beautifully with other presidents before, and I hope that whoever becomes the president of the United States, those relations will always stay strong and solid as they are. And the importance of bipartisan support from the United States to Israel, and the acceptance of whatever party here in Israel, whoever is in the United States, this bipartisan approach, I think, is very important, and we have to continue and strengthen it all along. We should not take it for granted. We should work on it, constantly speaking, and I intend to do so.
I'm so glad you mentioned this bipartisanship, because AJC has been pushing forward this message for its 114 years. You mentioned President Trump, and I cannot, leave this conversation without asking you, what is your perspective on the Trump peace plan?
First, I think it's a very important vision and, in a way, plan. I had the opportunity and the privilege of expressing it to the president himself, and I've been in close contact with his people all along. It gives us a realistic approach of how a stable future should look like. And I intend to promote it as much as I can in a most responsible way. It's a baseline to continue from. And all in all, I think it's a great plan. And we have to work on the basis of it, and we have to move forward with regional partners, with local partners, and of course, with consensus within the Israeli society, and with full coordination and acceptance of the backup we need from the United States. And I think it's a good place to start from and to walk above.
Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to transition to the EU and Israel relations. On the one hand, the EU is the biggest trade partner of Israel. On the other hand, there are many challenges where Israel and the EU partners see things in a different approach. For example, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. How do you see these relations? What are your hopes that these relations will go to? And, given the difficult challenges that we have, how do you see these relations?
Well, indeed, it's very important, not only on the trade aspect, which is definitely important, but also about the international support that we should get there. We are all facing the same threats and challenges. Israel is well experienced in fighting terrorism. Unfortunately, we see those events in Europe. Things that may threaten Israel, as in regards of Iran, for example, shortly and surely, if they will present themselves in Syria, will impact Europe as well. So it's true that the political atmosphere is somewhat different, but the importance is as important as any other case. So I think we should work together. I already had several meetings and phone calls with European representatives, and I intend to have a few more next week. And I'm sure that we can find a way to promote Israel's EU relations as well. It's less traditional than we have the one that we have with the United States, but it's important as well.
Also, we can't leave out the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of Jewish communities that are living there, and of course, we want to bring them closer to Israel, and Minister of Diaspora is
definitely
in
Minister
your party's
Omer
portfolio.
Yankelevich, who's looking forward to continue to working with Jewish diaspora communities all around the world, to include, of course, United States, to include Europe, but really all over the world. I think that what we are seeing now is the importance of the strength of the community itself, especially with the coronavirus. And unfortunately, we saw lots of illness within Jewish communities around the world. And the strength of the community is important. The connection between whatever community with Israel is important, and we are definitely there to fertilize it and continue strengthening it.
We're sitting here in your office in the Ministry of Defense, and I would like to ask you, although you're also the alternate Prime Minister, I would also like to ask you as a Minister of Defense, what are your priorities for 2020, for 2021?
Well, obviously, we must make sure that we have high level of preparedness. All our fronts are active fronts. We have challenges up north, we have challenges in the south, we have to counter terrorism. And when I got back after 5 years of doing different things, I found better forces, better readiness, high level of intelligence, and most important, a great human resources in the shape of our boys and daughters and girls, soldiers in all different branches. So it was a good experience to come back. So first of all, readiness and operational aspect in all fronts. I think that this is what we are doing. We also have to build up for future, because the readiness of tomorrow is the build up that we are doing today. Of course, we will have lots of budgetal challenges, I would say, according to as a result of even the coronavirus impact, but we will find a way to further and strengthen our capacity and capabilities in different areas of activities. And we also have to make sure the bonds between the defense forces and the society itself. I'm looking forward to initiate a new model of service in the Israeli system, whether it's military services, national services, civilian services. I think every citizen should give something for the country. Of course, military is first among others, but others are there as well. And I'm including all Israelis, Jews, non-Jews, religious, secular. Everybody should be taking part of the effort that we are running here.
I definitely identify with what you said about our best daughters and sons, as my daughter is in the army and your kids too, so definitely I'm with you on that one.
We are very proud of them.
But You know, AJC has been engaged for the past few years in campaigning on outlawing Hezbollah in its entirety with many countries, primarily Europe and Latin America. How did the recent COVID-19 impact Hezbollah? I mean, are they a bigger threat today than they were in the past on Israel? Should we be concerned of immediate escalation, or how do you see that specific threat?
I don't see an immediate threat from Hezbollah as a result of the coronavirus. We must understand that Hezbollah, Hamas, Jihad Islamic Palestinian groups are terrorist or semi-military terrorist organization that holds in their hand high-end operational and low-end strategic capabilities. For example, the capacity of what we call PGMs, precise guided missiles capabilities, which is countries around the world won't have it, and they already have it thanks for the Iranian support that they keep getting. I think we have to face them. I'm glad that countries around the world already started to understand that we are talking about terrorist organization that have several systems and sanctions against organizations or personnel who supports Hezbollah as a terrorist organization should be on the way. Germany just did it, and I think it's very important that it will continue in other places. I think we should not be confused. If an escalation against Hezbollah or Hamas or Jihad Islamic Palestinian group will ever happen again, it's going to be tough, but it's going to be by far tougher on them because we are stronger and we will be very decisive and very serious with what we are intend to do. So I'd rather be on the Israeli side if it happens.
Me too. On this list of terror groups you just mentioned, would it be accurate to say that Iran is in the first place?
Yes.
We're hearing, you know, the different rhetoric coming from Iranian leaders about Israel, about the West. I mean, where is that heading?
Iran is practicing regional aggressiveness all the time. It has its militias in Syria. It has the support it gives to Hezbollah, Hamas, Jihad Islamic Palestinian group. It gives the same support to Houthis in Yemen. And I think it's the cornerstone of any negative activity and instability that we see around the world, around the region, And once again, if Hezbollah will act against the state of Israel, it will pay a huge price. Unfortunately, Lebanon will pay the price as well as a hosting country. We demand from Lebanon, as much as we demand from Syria, statehood responsibility. If something happens to Israel from the soil of Lebanon or Syria, the hosting countries will have to pay the price for that.
I would even call Lebanon a hostage country. It was taken by hostage by Hezbollah.
I don't even accept it as an excuse for the Lebanese themselves. I don't care. If Lebanon is saying that they are a sovereign country, which they are, they hold responsibility for what's happening from their area. And if it's quiet, nothing will happen. If they will put us in any danger, we will act.
One of the most recent modern dangers or challenges that we face here are different kind of cyber attacks. How is Israel prepared to this increase of challenge?
First of all, we have expanded our defense capacities and capabilities, but let's go back to the sources of that. It goes back to Iran. It doesn't go anywhere else. I mean, of course, the whole world can operate one against the other, but when we are trying, who is trying to damage Israel? It's Iran. So it's basically Iran with the nuclear aspiration and activities. It's basically Iran with the regional aggression. It is basically Iran with the supply of armaments to different places. It is Iran with the cyber activity, etc., etc. So you rightly said that Iran is really the source of all challenges that we are currently seeing, but we are capable of coping with it.
As someone who is traveling back and forth from Israel to the United States and is in ongoing touch with the Jewish communities there, I can't but feel a distancing between us Jews in Israel and our brothers and sisters abroad. I wanted to ask you, how do you see the Jewish diaspora? How important it is to you, and what are your intentions in order to bring them closer to Israel? Because Israel, at the end of the day, is the glue for the Jewish people.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And you know, when we look at the Declaration of Independence, we are saying that in Eretz Israel, הוקמה מדינת היהודים.
The Jewish
The
state,
Jewish state of Israel,
was
the
established.
Jewish state was established in Eretz Israel. It means that Israel is the homeland, and the nation homeland of every Jew around the world. Ultra-Orthodox, conservative, reform, or secular, I don't care. If they are Jewish, it's enough for me. And I've been declaring before, the Western Wall is long enough to have a place for everybody. We have Minister Yankelevich. She's responsible for the relations between the State of Israel and the diaspora communities. I think it's very important to strengthen those relations. It's not only the challenges of Israel that we have to mobilize the Jewish communities around the world to support us. Sometimes it may be the other way around, whether it's on security basis or on any other basis of education
or COVID-19.
or COVID-19 or whatever it is. It's a mishpuche, and we have to look at it as a family.
Finally, you know, AJC has been one of the leaders in the global diplomatic world, and we have been around for 114 years. I would like to ask you to share a unique special message with the AJC audience who are watching us right now.
AJC is an important strategic partner of the State of Israel. Its activities around the globe is very important. It was important in the past, it's important in the present, and it will continue to be important in the future, so never stop.